The evening was supposed to be magical, a tribute to love, togetherness, and refined celebration in the city's heart. For Ethan, it felt like a much-needed chance to reconnect with his wife, Olivia, surrounded by music and cheerful chatter. But what began as a promising night gradually unraveled, peeling back layers to expose a painful truth, one that would alter their lives forever. As the night wore on, Ethan couldn't shake the quiet but clear change in Olivia's demeanor. The first indication that something was amiss came when she chose to dance, not with him, but with someone else. Ryan, a coworker she'd grown noticeably closer to. Ethan tried to dismiss the growing tension inside him, brushing off the gnawing feeling that things weren't quite right. Their relationship, once admired by their circle, now felt fragile, burdened by silent uncertainties. They had always seemed like the perfect couple. Ethan, now 36, had built a successful business from the ground up, giving them a comfortable life. Olivia, 34, was effortlessly elegant, a magnetic presence in any room. Their life together looked like a dream, lavish trips, a gorgeous home, and a tight-knit group of friends. But lately, Ethan had started to sense a rift. Conversations once filled with warmth had grown colder. Olivia appeared more interested in her social life than in the quiet moments they used to cherish. Parties, meetups, endless networking, those seemed to come first now. Ethan tried to remain understanding, telling himself this was just a phase, a reflection of her vibrant personality. But the signs became harder to ignore: unexplained late-night texts, evasive answers, her constant checking of her phone. Despite it all, Ethan kept trying to silence his fears, unsure if he was simply imagining things. The gala, a classy affair hosted by one of Olivia's co-workers, was meant to help them reconnect. Olivia had insisted he come, emphasizing how important it was for him to meet her friends. Hoping to rekindle their bond, Ethan agreed. Olivia had spent days preparing, carefully planning her look. Ethan chalked it up to her usual attention to detail, though a part of him suspected there was more behind her excitement. He had no idea that the night would expose a betrayal so deep it would break not just his trust, but their marriage. As they arrived, Ethan felt a swell of pride walking beside her. She turned heads, and for a fleeting moment, he allowed himself to believe in the life they built together. Draped in an elegant black gown, Olivia glided through the room with grace, chatting effortlessly with the guests. But that comforting illusion quickly began to fade. Ethan noticed her attention increasingly drawn to Ryan, the tall, charming coworker who seemed to command her every smile and laugh. At first, Ethan tried to brush it off as simple workplace familiarity. But the way she leaned in toward him, the glint in her eyes when he spoke, it went beyond friendship. There was an intimacy there, one Ethan hadn't felt from her in ages. And in that instant, something inside him broke. This wasn't the Olivia he had fallen in love with. The woman he had once known seemed to be slipping away, drawn toward someone else. Their marriage had shown cracks before, but tonight those cracks lay bare. Olivia was drifting, no longer his in the way he had hoped. What he had imagined would be a night of renewed closeness had become the painful realization that he had already lost her. Ethan understood that the truth, once revealed, would change everything. The hurt of Olivia's betrayal would leave behind scars, and choices that couldn't be undone. The night, which had begun as a celebration of love, had turned into a harsh reality check. Even seemingly perfect relationships can crumble under the weight of silence and denial. Ethan's thoughts swirled. His chest felt tight with a growing unease he couldn't shake. He tried telling himself he was just being overly sensitive. But as the evening wore on, his doubts grew stronger. The woman who had once been his everything now seemed far more invested in the party than in him. When he asked her to introduce him to some of her friends, she simply waved him off with a casual, "I'll do it later." Left alone near the edge of the room, drink in hand, Ethan watched from a distance. Ryan wasn't just another coworker. Olivia admired him, it was obvious. The way their bodies naturally angled toward each other, the frequency of their shared laughs, it was impossible to miss. Every subtle glance and quiet chuckle between them hit Ethan like a blow. He tried to calm himself, to believe it was all in his head, but the heaviness in his chest only intensified. The evening, once filled with joy, was quickly turning into something far more painful. His suspicions were no longer mere thoughts. They were becoming facts. When the band began playing a slow, romantic tune and couples gathered on the dance floor, Ethan saw an opportunity. Maybe this was their chance to reconnect. Hopeful, he approached Olivia with a warm smile and extended his hand. "Want to dance?" he asked, his tone soft, full of longing. She paused, glancing around the room, and then gave a tired smile. "Oh, Ethan, I'm wiped out." "Maybe later," she said, brushing past him and heading toward the bar. Ethan stood there, the sting of rejection settling in. He tried to believe it meant nothing, that he was just imagining the distance between them. But moments later, the truth hit him with cruel clarity. Olivia wasn't at the bar. She was in Ryan's arms, swaying gently to the music, head thrown back in laughter. Her eyes sparkled as Ryan whispered something close to her ear. Their closeness was undeniable. It was obvious, even to strangers, that this was more than just friendship. Ethan's heart clenched as a wave of emotions crashed over him. Was this what had been happening all along? The quiet coldness at home, the secrecy, the endless phone checking? It had all led to this. Anger, sadness, and oddly, relief. At last, he had clarity. But Ethan wasn't one to cause a scene. He didn't storm over. He simply stood there, taking it all in, the hand Olivia rested on Ryan's shoulder, the way her gaze lingered on him as if no one else existed. It was too much. And just like that, Ethan made his decision. If Olivia was ready to show her choice in public, he would respond in kind. The evening's mood shifted dramatically as Ethan made his way to the stage. The host had just introduced the final toast when Ethan seized the moment. Grasping the microphone, he cleared his throat. His voice, steady and composed, contrasted sharply with the storm inside him. "Good evening, everyone," he began, his tone measured. "Thank you for coming tonight. I'd like to raise a glass to truth. Because truth has a strange way of showing up when you least expect it." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to him. Olivia, standing nearby, froze. Her face went pale as their gazes met. "Tonight taught me something important," Ethan continued. "It's heartbreaking to realize the person you gave your heart to has chosen someone else." He turned toward Olivia. "Olivia, thank you for showing me who you really are." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Olivia's expression turned from shock to horror. Ryan stepped forward as if to intervene, but Ethan ignored him, his eyes locked on hers. He gently placed the mic down and walked off the stage. The silence was deafening. Only soft murmurs and stunned whispers filled the space. Ethan didn't look back. As he stepped outside, the cold night air hit him sharply, an icy contrast to the stifling betrayal inside. Driving home, he played the night over in his mind. The pain was raw, but beneath it, something unexpected stirred, a sense of freedom. For the first time in months, the fog had cleared. The next day, Ethan spoke to Olivia in private. She cried, begged for forgiveness, offered explanations that meant little now. But the truth had sunk too deep. Her actions had broken a trust that couldn't be mended. "I'm sorry," Olivia sobbed, her tears streaming. "I never meant to hurt you." But Ethan couldn't hear her anymore. What they had was gone, and it couldn't be revived. He filed for divorce, resolved to start over. No more chains of betrayal. With his loved ones by his side, Ethan poured his energy into his business and rediscovered what made him feel alive. Healing took time, but it came. In hindsight, Ethan realized that the gala wasn't just the end of their marriage, it marked the start of something new. A path back to self-worth. A future where he could finally come first. He knew he deserved love, honesty, loyalty, the things Olivia could not offer. So when she chose someone else that night, it didn't just close a chapter, it opened a new one. One where Ethan would reclaim his story and chase the future he truly deserved. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update.